Good day, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Blaine. And if this is your first time here, then welcome to my channel. And this is your advanced dictation number 106. And in this video, we're going to do some dictations, some advanced dictations based on the passive voice. In particular, we're going to look at the simple past. So passive voice in the simple past. Do you have your pen and paper ready? Because remember that you are going to listen and then write what you hear, and you will write that on your paper. This video features dictations using the passive voice in the simple past. For a review of the active and the passive voice, see the link to my intro video in the description box of this video. More videos on this topic will be coming in the coming weeks. Now, in this video, there will be 5 dictations, and I will say each one 3 times. Do not worry if you make a few spelling mistakes. Do not worry if you can't write every word. You will get better with practice. Now, as an optional activity, after you write your dictation, find the passive voice elements. Now, you might be wondering, what do I mean by passive voice elements? So here is an example. All the food on the table was eaten by us! Exclamation. All the food on the table was eaten by us. Now, this is a passive voice sentence, and the passive voice elements are, first of all, we're going to have a subject, plus we're going to have a form of to be. We're going to have a past participle, also called the third form, and then you might have a biphrase. Not all passive voice sentences have a biphrase. Some do not. So, in this example, there is a biphrase. Now, all the food on the table, that's the subject, and it will be at the beginning of the sentence. Then we have a form of to be. In this example, it is was, which is the simple past. Eaten is the past participle called the third form. And then at the very end, we have the by phrase. And this again tells us, the by phrase again tells us who did the action. But for now, let's focus on our first dictation. And I'm going to say the dictation once, all the way through. And then I will repeat it 2 more times. And then after that, we will discuss what we call the passive voice elements. Okay, but here we go with dictation number 1. This game was given to Tom by his parents and grandparents after he graduated university last fall. Full stop. He really appreciated the gift! Exclamation. He loves playing with his uncle! Exclamation. Okay, now I will repeat. This game was given to Tom. This game was given to Tom by his parents and grandparents. By his parents and grandparents. After he graduated university. After he graduated university last fall. Last fall. Full stop. He really appreciated. He really appreciated the gift. The gift! Exclamation. He loves playing. He loves playing with his uncle. With his uncle. Exclamation. This game was given to Tom by his parents and grandparents after he graduated university last fall. Full stop. He really appreciated the gift. Exclamation. He loves playing with his uncle. Exclamation. This game was given to Tom by his parents and grandparents after he graduated university last fall. He really appreciated the gift. He loves playing with his uncle. Now, let's talk for a moment about the passive voice elements. Now, in this example, we've got this game, that's the subject, was given. This is the third form. And then we've got by his parents and grandparents. This game was given by his parents and grandparents. And then over here, we've got the object, like we're saying who it was given to. This game was given to Tom by his parents and grandparents. So this is the object of the verb. So it's saying this game was given. Who was it given to? It was given to Tom. But the actual elements of the passive voice sentence are the subject, form of to be, the third form, and then the by phrase. And then, of course, this gives us more information as well. Okay, and remember, everyone, if you ever have any questions about anything you see here, you can write that question or your comment in the comment section of the video. But for now, let's move on to our second dictation. Some of the artifacts at the museum down the street were donated by a family that lives in the area. Full stop. They were very generous to give such an amazing gift. Exclamation. Some of the artifacts. Some of the artifacts at the museum. At the museum. Down the street. Down the street. Were donated by a family that lives in the area. Full stop. They were very generous. They were very generous to give such an amazing gift. They were very generous to give such an amazing gift. Exclamation. Some of the artifacts at the museum down the street were donated by a family that lives in the area. Full stop. They were very generous to give such an amazing gift. Exclamation. Some of the artifacts at the museum down the street were donated by a family that lives in the area. They were very generous to give such an amazing gift. Okay, now let's talk about the components, the elements of the passive voice. Now in this example, here we see the passive voice sentence. We have the subject. Some of the artifacts at the museum down the street, so this is the subject, were donated. So we have the form of to be, the simple past, donated. This is the third form called the past participle. And then we have a by phrase, by a family that lives in the area. So the passive voice sentence is, some of the artifacts at the museum down the street were donated by a family that lives in the area. Okay, so let's move along to our dictation number 3. Dictation number 3. The renovations on the building across the street were completed by my friend's company. Full stop. They did an amazing job! Exclamation. They were fast, comma, and the results were amazing! Exclamation. The renovations on the building. The renovations on the building across the street. Across the street. Were completed. Were completed by my friend's company. By my friend's company. Full stop. They did an amazing job! Exclamation. They did an amazing job! Exclamation. They were fast, comma. They were fast, comma. And the result was amazing. They were fast, comma. And the result was amazing! Exclamation. The renovations on, sorry about that noise. The renovations on the building across the street were completed by my friend's company. Full stop. They did an amazing job! Exclamation. They were fast, comma, and the result was amazing! Exclamation. The renovations on the building across the street were completed by my friend's company. They did an amazing job! They were fast, and the result was amazing. Okay, so that's the dictation. Now, you guys, looking at this dictation, I want to mention something. It's better, the only thing about this is a good dictation. The only problem is that we use the word amazing twice. So it's better if we said, they did an amazing job, they were fast, and the result was fantastic. So it's better if we do not repeat adjectives. This is why it's good that we learn different adjectives and different verbs and so on, so we can add more variety to our speech. But anyways, let's now talk about the elements. So when we take a look at this one, we can see that the first sentence is passive voice. So the renovations on the building across the street, that's the subject, were, simple past, completed, this is the third form, and then by my friend's company. In other words, the friend's company is the one that did the action in this sentence. Okay, so we are moving along to our next dictation, number 4. Dictation number 4. My shoes were shined by the man who has a shop just outside our building. Full stop. He does a good job, comma, and his prices are very reasonable. Full stop. You should go and check it out! Exclamation. My shoes were shined by the man who has a shop just outside our building. Full stop. He does a good job, comma, and his prices are very reasonable. Full stop. You should go and check it out. Exclamation. My shoes were shined by the man who has a shop just outside our building. Full stop. He does a good job, comma, and his prices are very reasonable. Full stop. You should go and check it out! Exclamation. My shoes were shined by the man who has a shop just outside our building. He does a good job and his prices are reasonable. You should go and check it out. Now, let's take a look at the passive voice elements. Now, in this example, the passive voice elements are, so my shoes, that's the subject, were, that's the simple past form of to be, shined, third form, by the man. Now, sometimes you guys, so this is the by phrase right here, right? This is telling us who did the action. So sometimes we can have other words, right? So we can say my shoes were shined by the man, but then we have something called an adjective phrase. Who has a shop just outside our building? Who has a shop just outside our building? So this is what we call an adjective phrase, and it's just giving us more information about the man. Okay? Again, any questions about that, let me know. And in future videos, we will be talking more about different words that we can add to our passive voice sentences to make them more interesting and to give us more information. But let's continue on to our next dictation, dictation number 5. So this will be the last dictation of this video, dictation number 5. These old dogs were seen wandering around the neighborhood by a few local residents. Full stop. We hope that we can capture them and find the owners. Full stop. These old dogs were seen. These old dogs were seen wandering around the neighborhood. Wandering around the neighborhood by a few local residents. By a few local residents. Full stop. We hope that we can capture them. We hope that we can capture them and find the owners. And find the owners. Full stop. These old dogs were seen wandering around the neighborhood by a few local residents. Full stop. We hope that we can capture them and find the owners. Full stop. These old dogs were seen wandering around the neighborhood by a few local residents. We hope that we can capture them and find the owners. Now, let's talk about the elements of the passive voice. In this example, so we've got these old dogs, that's the subject, were, that's the form of to be in the past, seen, and then we've got the by phrase, by a few local residents. So we can say these old dogs were seen by a few local residents. These old dogs were seen by a few local residents. Here though we've got this verb and it just simply gives us more information. So sometimes you can have the passive voice and then you can add extra words to give you more information. But again, we'll talk more about that, like different ways that we can write our passive voice sentences. Anyways, everyone, I want to thank you. That brings us to the end of this video, and I want to thank you all so much for attending. Thank you for going through the dictation as well. And remember, everyone, leave your comments or questions in the comment section. I will respond to those. And if you like this video, please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon in the next video.